What if you could plan your entire year in just one day? I'm going to show you my exact process for using AI to build a complete long-term business plan and valuable workbook from scratch. Let's dig into it. So let's start with a little bit of background. First off, most people are using AI like it's a calculator or it's a Google search, but it's a supercomputer. So the reality of it is that you should be having longer conversations with AI. You should be giving it information to analyze and look at and give you suggestions on. Then you should fix those suggestions and then you should give it back to AI and have it make more suggestions on how you can do even better on a document or something like that. So, I'm going to show you today how to use it like a co-founder or a partner in your strategy process, a partner that knows the internet, that knows a ton of it. And we're going to understand here that I understand that AI can be complex. I understand that not everybody knows how to talk to it and that not everybody is using it. Some people are afraid, some people aren't allowed, some people aren't interested in their information being out there on the internet, and they're concerned that if they're using AI, somebody's going to copy them, or like we're teaching our students that AI is cheating. But on that note, like we had hand drills for a long time, and then somebody came out with the power drill, and it wasn't seen as cheating. It was seen as a better way to do the same work and a faster way and a less energy intrusive way to do the work. So the reality of it is that AI is a very powerful tool. It's a very powerful partner. And if you use it as such, if you know how to wield it, it can be super strong. So today I'm going to talk to you about that. I'm going to show you exactly what I do and how I create workbooks and how I create business plans. And then we're just going to go from there. So let's start with step one, which is the problem that we have that people don't understand, that AI can do deep research. So let's start with that. Let's start with a little bit of a definition, at least from a high level, and that is deep research. When you ask AI a question, it's not really digging deep into the internet. It's sort of answering questions based on its knowledge base, but you can do deep research. And my particular tool of choice is through Google, and you can use whatever you want, whatever AI platform. I'm agnostic. I don't care. Find what you like. But I use Google. And if you have a pro plan, meaning you're paying, in my case, it's $15 a month to have an actual at domain, you get some of the extra tools baked into that. And deep research is one of them. And so when you ask it a question, it goes out and scours the internet and pulls in websites and researches different pieces of material, analyzes those results, and uses that to give you an answer to the question that you have. So today, and I'm going to read just a little bit, and I'm also going to flash up some screens here, but today we're going to ask it from the perspective of trying to build an insurance agency. It's no secret, I do own an insurance agency, and that's one thing that I do for a living. So I definitely am going to use that to build today. Today, we are going to build a social media plan. So what I want to do is I want to build a couple of months worth of social media calendar strategies so that I can just go, what am I supposed to do today? Okay, great, and do that thing. Excellent. So we're going to go into Google. We're going to choose, or whichever your platform is, you're going to choose deep research, and we're going to ask the question, can you look at insurance agencies in my area and help me work out a social media plan to increase website visits and therefore help me get more clients, please? And then go. And it's going to go out and it's going to start searching researches or searching different websites and looking at people in your area and analyzing those results. And what you're going to end up with is a basic blueprint. A strategic blueprint is exactly what I got in my area. And it actually shows from a high level, some strategic imperative, like the why. It talks about an executive summary. It talks about the local landscape and doing some competitive analysis, which is super important when you're building some sort of business strategy. Knowing what you're up against is super important. It goes through and it does a comparative analysis as to some of the other agencies that are out there. And what I saw in my results is it was everything from people who are doing independence, and it's also throwing in State Farm and Travelers and some of the people that are like the big companies out there. Then it gives you a printable social media workbook. Well, we'll get to that in just a second. I had to do a couple of extra things to get there, but the deep research gave me essentially 13 pages of a form of a basic plan on what I can do. Step two is an easy one, but it's often overlooked, and that is a mistake. So basically, you take that full on form that it gave you and you give it back to AI, and you basically ask it, is there anything that's missing? And let it analyze its own work. And in most cases, I find that it will actually find a few things that you should add to this particular thing. And so you say, okay, great. Can you add that to the overall document? And it does. So in my particular case, I went through this process, took the 13 pages spit out, gave it back and said, hey, is there anything that's missing? It gave me a couple of responses saying, yeah, I think we should add this or we should add that. And I said, great, add it. And it spit it back out. And now I have 15 pages of a social media plan, essentially, for this. But it's 15 pages long. Does that seem like a lot of data to anybody else? Because it is for me. My brain just isn't going to, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read 15 pages because I think it's important to read your analysis and do all of that. But I don't think anybody's going to use 15 pages as their standing point, as their ability to say, okay, now I've got my document. I'm going to take these 15 pages and I'm just going to, from there, build my own plan, especially when you don't have to. So let's work into step three. Step three is all about the implementation phase. Step three is how do I take those 15 pages that I got and turn them into something that I can actually do as an action item. So step three is basically asking that same chat, that same AI, to turn this into a workbook with a step-by-step process that I can follow for the next 3 months or something like that. You probably don't want to do a social media plan for a year because the reality of it is that you haven't done the A/B testing and you're not really sure if it's going to work. So we admit that as far as social media is concerned, there is more to it than what we're going to find in this particular workbook. But we can always use AI later to analyze our results and start giving us suggestions on how we should change. But in this case, I felt like 3 months was a good time frame for us to go through. So I basically just asked it, hey, build me a workbook that I can implement for the next 3 months. And it spits out from that 15 pages a workbook that I can actually work through with a little bit of why in front of it, and then basically a step-by-step instruction on what I should be doing on a daily basis. Part three is crucial, and quite honestly, it's often overlooked on this. But now that you've got this information, you need to turn it into something that reflects you, something that reflects what you want from this whole process. So you're going to need to turn it into a visual preview. So you're going to want to turn it into something that you can action item on. So as you can see, sometimes it spits it out in a situation that doesn't necessarily make the most sense on paper. So you may have to take the pieces from AI and actually put them into a spreadsheet or into a calendar or into whatever it is that you particularly work on a day-to-day basis. So it's not necessarily a finished product until you have it in an implementation status. So you need to make sure that the deliverable, as we call it in the industry, is something that you can use on a daily basis. I don't care if you write it on notebook paper or scratch paper or whatever, but it's going to be a lot better if you write it on a calendar or you write it in an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, that actually gives you an action item to do and the day that it's supposed to be done on. So that way you've taken this big 15 pages, then you've taken the workbook and you've put it into a small format that you can actually take with you and that you can actually carry around and use to implement these things on a day-to-day basis. None of the work that we've done before is going to be worth it if you don't implement it on a day-to-day basis. Hope that makes sense. And that's it. Now you've got an action plan. Now you've taken something from nothing and you've built a action plan that can give you daily or at least weekly ideas on what you should be doing. So I really hope this helps. I really hope that we have taken a tactical approach to solving a single problem. Now, don't stop there. Use the same approach to do deep research and workbooks for all kinds of projects. You can do it from anything from, I don't know, planning your next house to planning a business completely. So there are a lot of different things that you can use this for. So I'd love to hear in the comments some things that you're going to use it for. If you want, give me some ideas. Put it in the comments below. That would be absolutely fantastic. Now, here's the call to action time. If you enjoy these videos and you want more, I'm building a community in school, and pop on over there. The link is below. And this is a community that will boil down into people that are high performers, business owners, entrepreneurs. We're people that really want to produce at a higher level, and we want to share information with each other. Sure, it's going to be led by me, and I'll do weekly question and answer sessions and tangible items that you can use on a daily basis, and that's going to be fantastic. So pop on over there and join us. We're glad that you did. You get a 7-day free trial. You can take a look at what we're doing. It's just starting off. We're just building it. So I'm sure that the price is going to increase and that it's going to be a different community as we build this a little bit later. So get in early and we'll go from there. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.